Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Jackson, or I'm IT Guy 12, and today we're going to be talking about different databases, and we're going to talk about what some differences and more so what some similarities are. Okay, so to begin, we've got to talk about what language drives all of these, and I'm not talking about like English, Spanish, French, German, Portuguese, whatever. I'm talking about SQL, Structured Query Language, which is a language invented back in the late 1970s, mid-70s for businessmen to be able to go into their terminals and key in pieces of easier to understand code so that they could get back information. And we are sending queries to the database. It makes a lot of sense because at that time we didn't have great graphical user interfaces. We needed to type something in, and wouldn't it be great for us just to teach them the language so that it was easier to process? It was easier than having to make a whole shell just for reading it. Just teach them the language. And so that's what they did. They made it very simple. So fast forward to today, and there are quite a few prominent SQL databases. And honestly, they're not all completely SQL, but when you think of SQL, you think of database, and most of them support SQL. Now, there are some that are strictly no SQL, and a lot of them will use JSON. Let's talk about the first one. All right, so this one is called mysql. You've probably heard of it before. It's the one with the dolphin that's owned by Oracle, the same company that makes Java. And so there are two, the main thing to note here is that there are two versions of Oracle's mysql, and it's a database. It's not a language. That's the important thing to understand here, right? It's a database, not a language, okay? And so there are two different packages. One you buy, one you don't, because it wouldn't be a product without trying to make money, at least to some places. The other two we're going to talk about are open source and free for everything that they offer, but let's talk about this one. So the Enterprise Edition has so much more, such as some NoSQL plugins, but I don't understand why you would want NoSQL. In my opinion, MySQL and the other ones like MariaDB and Postgres are just supported by so many languages that it makes no sense to need NoSQL, unless, of course, you've written an entire JSON library and you want to do that. I don't know. In my opinion, it's easier, but I have written the code and it does get a little messy with the errors and stuff. It's not terrible though. I've done it in Java, which is probably why. So the free one is called Community, the Community Edition, and there is, lesson support. I only get a community forum, and there's lessened, features are taken out of it. For instance, that NoSQL feature, which is only available when you pay for it. And then the MySQL Enterprise Edition, and these are servers, mind you, that you're buying. You're buying the executable to install the server. And so for that, then, you get so much more. I would not recommend buying it. I'm just going to be completely honest and blunt with you. If you're a business owner, I don't care if you own Apple. I don't care if you own some small company who needs to choose the database. Unless your program that you need to run strictly supports only MySQL Enterprise, or MySQL, and so then therefore you might want to buy Enterprise for more support, which I completely get if you need it. I would just get MariaDB, which is the one we're going to talk about next, because it's literally the same developer who wrote MySQL, forked it and wrote MariaDB, and made it open source for everyone, and that's something that's interesting to me. I don't know why you would do that, but you know what? He did, so I'm not going to question it, okay? It's a community developed, so it's not only him. It's commercially supported, too. It's made by the original developers of MySQL. They also have a guarantee of open source, and they're commercially supported, so they're off pretty well as for being a fork of a bigger and much more popular piece of software. All these databases are relational, which means that if I have one table, right, and then I have another table, and one table is called users, the other table is called posts. If I say, user ID, username, blah, blah, blah in here, and then like post ID, user ID, we can link a user to each of his posts, each of her posts. And it is intended to remain free and open source. They have a guarantee there, right? So that is great. That's why I like it. It's open source. You got community developer. This is the kind of development that I like. It's community, it's open source, everyone's working together to make a software better. That's what I like so much about the open source community, is that you're not talking to a company and saying, oh, well, add this, it'd be great. They're going to say no. Or they're going to say, okay, we'll think about it. We'll pass that on to our developers, and no. Right? No, no. They're not going to add it right away unless there's so many people amass and say that. Whereas in MariaDB, you get people from all different backgrounds, people, saying, oh, this would be great. Well, they literally have access to the source code. They're a community developer. They can just add it in. That's what I like about community developed and community driven software, right? And so that's why I like MariaDB more than MySQL, is because it's open source, it's intended to stay that way, and it's off so well. It's the same thing. It hasn't been shot down yet. Postgres. So let's talk a little bit about MySQL/Postgres. If you haven't selected MariaDB, then you're probably not going to select MariaDB, right? And MariaDB and MySQL in terms of feature sets are pretty much the same, but Postgres and MySQL is where it starts to differ just a little bit. I mean, they're still very close cousins, but they start to differ. Let's talk about some companies who use Postgres versus some companies who use MySQL. Notable companies that use Postgres are Apple, Biofarm, Etsy, IMDb, Macworld, Debian, Fujitsu, Red Hat, Sun Microsystem, Cisco, and Skype. MySQL users, on the other hand, are GitHub. I love GitHub. This next one's gonna blow you away. The U.S. Navy is listed here. No one's reading their database. Should use. They probably have like multiple plugins developed by the Navy to secure the database, man. NASA uses it, Tesla uses it, Netflix uses MySQL, WeChat uses MySQL, Facebook, Zendesk, Twitter, Zappos, YouTube, and Spotify. And that's so cool because YouTube is one of them that doesn't just talk to, either a piece of software that talks to a web gateway that talks to the database. It's written in Python, and so Python is talking to the database. Python sends HTML to your browser, but Python also talks to the database. There is no PHP. So I think it's cool to say, that they support so many different languages. Postgres supports many NoSQL features. And so, again, I said I don't think that NoSQL makes much sense in a world that's been very MySQL developed, but you never know. Some software may have been developed for NoSQL, and so you need that. So it might support PostgreSQL, aka the elephant in the room. MySQL newer versions have that feature set of some NoSQL stuff too, but you gotta pay. Always gotta pay. Now, the interesting thing about Postgres, though, is that Postgres basically creates a copy of the database and stores it in memory and also keeps it, up in case for whatever reason you were to lose that first database, it were to be kicked off, it were to corrupt in memory or in storage, or, you just need the secondary one, you need to copy it back to the first one. I think you can do that even. If one gets kicked off, the other one won't, and it does this by default. You can configure MySQL to do it on its, with some extra plugins, probably not in community version. That's one of those things that we can talk, we can think about here, right? Is that Postgres has that fail-safe. So honestly, I'm leaning towards between MySQL versus Postgres. You guessed it, Postgres. I mean, the syntax is the same because, again, they all are in SQL. Now, it's great to note that they literally use the same languages. Let me just read these out. Postgres supports C++, Delphi, Perl, Java, Lua, .NET, Node.js, Python, PHP, Lisp, Go, RD, and Erlang. The one difference is that the one difference is that MySQL supports C. So if you are planning to write your program in C, I would use MySQL and probably MariaDB even, because I think MariaDB would support C as well. I don't know though. So it supports C, C++, Delphi, Perl, Java, Lua, .NET, Node.js, Python, PHP, Lisp, Go, RD, and Erlang. Yeah, so it's literally the same thing. So, I mean, and you can get a host anywhere for this if you pay the right amount, which sometimes can be free. At the end of the day, folks, and I'm wrapping this up, don't worry, it's up to you. What does your software require, right? And you can even go deeper than what I've done here and figure out exactly what NoSQL features it needs. What do you need? And then from there, make a selection. Do you need more than community support? MySQL Enterprise. That's the only reason I would buy MySQL Enterprise. I wouldn't get MySQL Normal. I would just get MariaDB, right? Otherwise, if you just need a generic database, 95% of the time MariaDB will work for literally anything. If it's not already said, oh, we support MariaDB, because it's probably the second most supported database. Alright folks, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed, I want you to click like, because there is a button there, and it would just be a waste of your Logitech gaming mouse for you to not click like. Click like, alright? Also, don't forget to click subscribe, right? If you're on your phone, you can tapping subscribe, tap, and then tap the bell to get notified. Alright, that's awesome. You can tap subscribe, tap the bell, tap the like button. If you didn't like it, please let me know what was wrong with it. Please tell me what I can do better. And if you did like it and you have an idea for another video that I could probably make, tell me. Is there a question you have? Don't go to Reddit, go to me. I'm just kidding. Go to Reddit if you want to talk to Reddit, but come to me if you want to give me video ideas. I'm also looking to maybe start a series called Look What I Made or something, where either I review crazy pieces of software, or I talk about, software that I've made, or I talk about, different libraries or uses and stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that sometime. That'll be more up there, but this is, I love doing these basic explanations. This is only my second one, and I'm loving it already. I loved talking about, the basics of IP protocol and how that works last time. Also, Susan Wojcicki, we're gonna say it. I was gonna say she has a button that she could just demonetize anyone or eradicate their channels. I just wanted to remind you that, so you be kind in the comments. But now, I think every video I'm going to try to pronounce her name until I get it right 3 videos in a row. Susan Wojcicki, right? Hang on. See, now I gotta look it up. Wojcicki.
Susan Wojcicki.
Wojcicki. We're gonna trust that. Susan Wojcicki. Alright? Folks, it's Susan Wojcicki. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.